The year was 1915. The University of Central Arkansas was known as Arkansas State Normal School, and the only student organizations were literary societies. But a handful of young men wanted something different. They wanted to create a men's leadership group or pep organization, and the Owls were born. The group's purpose was to take a lead in developing school spirit.
My uncle, Whit Morgan, was an owl when he was in school here. Apparently they were an outstanding group of young men, even in that organization.
But not everyone supported the new organization. The opposition led to the Owls becoming a secret society. They drew up a ritual similar to that of a lodge, but still continued to call themselves a society because Greek letter fraternities were prohibited by the school administration. By 1927, the school was known as Arkansas State Teachers College. The older literary societies had completely died out, and several social groups were now on campus. Those groups petitioned President Torreson to be allowed to take Greek letter names and become social fraternities. Torreson finally agreed on the condition that they would forever remain local and never have any national affiliation. The students agreed, and the Owls became Kappa Phi Sigma. In 1935, after Torreson's death, Kappa Phi Sigma requested permission to affiliate with a national organization, and President McAllister granted their request. That's when the group, first known as the Owls, then as Kappa Phi Sigma, became the Sigma chapter of the Sigma Tau Gamma. The rest, as they say, is history.
Just a group of young men who get together to try to accomplish some good and do some good things, but also it's an opportunity to achieve some semblance of brotherhood.
It's an organization of course, college men, and they promote worthwhile endeavors on campus and off campus.
The Sig Tau's were the guys who were gentlemen. It sounds pretentious, but they were the guys who dressed better, who combed their hair and wore nice clothes and didn't cuss around women and treated people the way they should be treated.
Most of the leaders on the campus came from the Sigma chapter, Sigma Tau Gamma. And that, of course, was appealing to me because I had been a leader in high school, and I was looking for the opportunity to be of service in something.
So what was it that set Sig Tau Gamma apart?
And I noticed a lot of the nicer looking girls were hanging out with Sig Taus, and some of most of the better guys were Sig Taus, and that's just kind of the group I wanted to be associated with.
If you wanted to be somebody and something, that's what you needed to be. They were all over the things that caught your eye. They were in the student government. They were all the activities and things were Sig Tau's, and of course others too, but Sig Tau's were the ones that sort of caught your attention.
It seemed that our level was a little advanced above some of the other fraternities, and I don't mean that as a negative to them, but more as a positive to us. We had a lot of the leadership positions on campus. Sig Tau's were president of the student body, vice president of the student body, royal rooters, all the different things that were big on campus, Sig Tau's were involved in.
You can't really put a finger on it, but it feels like family, I guess. There's nothing tangible, there's nothing, it's like, this is why I wanted it. It was just, you got around the guys and it was like, this is where I belong.
Some learned quickly it was Sig Tau or not at all.
On bid day, you went over to the student center and you filled out a prep card, and you listed who you wanted to be and the order that you wanted them. I was so taken with Sigma Tau Gamma that my prep card said Sigma Tau Gamma, Sigma Tau Gamma, Sigma Tau Gamma. If I couldn't be that, I didn't want to be anything else.
Because it's my understanding that some of the officers of the organization would actually go out to high schools and find out some of the people that were coming to college at ASTC and try to entice them at that point.
For example, young men from my hometown would come down here to school, and they'd of course come in to visit with me because they knew me and knew my family there in Heber Springs. And they'd say, what do you think about joining the fraternity? I've had some people and they didn't specifically say Sig Tau at that point. And I said, oh, I think it's a good idea. It was a good idea for me, but be very careful. You want to go to the right one. And they'd look at me kind of strangely, and I'd say, if you're lucky enough to get a bid from Sigma Chapter of Sigma Tau Gamma, you take it.
To be a member carried with it opportunities and benefits.
Sig Tau's got me elected vice president of student body and then president of student body. And the funny thing about it is I give them the credit because they were the ones that got me introduced.
Many of which last for a lifetime.
We have some of the state's, or the nation's foremost medical people, engineering, and of course it was heavily weighted with education. Some of the outstanding teachers, people who have become superintendents of high schools throughout the state. Many of them, and the best were Sigma Taus.
And of course, they had some fun along the way.
Intramural sports, very important. While I ran varsity track, I wanted to play football and basketball the way I had, and I couldn't do that at a college level. But you certainly could in intramurals and have all the fun in the world.
Back years ago, homecoming, for example, was a huge event. The float competition was a big deal. We won that for, I couldn't tell you how many years in a row. And at that time, and younger kids hearing this are going to say, yawn, but that was a really big deal. We did things big. We didn't do little stuff. If Sig Tau was going to do it, we were going to do it big.
One of those big events was the annual White Rose Dance.
I remember some of the outings, the dance, the White Rose. I think it was called the White Rose. I don't know what it is now. I never could get a young lady to go with me. So I guess that was the thing that's most memorable to me.
In our day, the fraternities all had sweethearts, little sisses, diamonds. They would have sorority girls that would help basically with rush and just help them pull off functions. They needed a girl's help, and so, and it was an honor to get asked to do that. From that group of little sisses, they would choose, I think 8 to 10 girls, I can't remember, that would be nominated for White Rose. And I was chosen as White Rose.
While a lot of their endeavors were worthwhile, some might raise an eyebrow today.
We were very active on campus. All the things that you read about and that were able to be published.
There were some crazy things we did. I mean, boys being boys. Did a lot of silly things, but I sure as hell am not going to tell you what they were.
We would have things like water hose pulls against other fraternities, and where you'd divide up and set the water hydrant, turn it on and pull the rope and pull people into it. And of course, excursions to Arkansas Tech to try to steal their Wonder Boy and bring it down and put it on campus for the games. And then they'd come down from Arkansas Tech, paint our bear green.
And we had a co-ed calendar, which was our fundraiser. But what we did was we picked out 12 girls, each of whom had a month. And it wasn't Playboy, but it was in that vein. We dressed them, they dressed themselves, I guess as scantily as they could, but anyway, and it was from month to month. It was pretty cool flipping up and seeing who the next one was, and that thing used to make us a truckload of money.
One of the more, we'll say, unique events was known as Miss Body Beautiful.
God loved the girls who did it, and their sense of humor. I mean, you're walking around with heels and a bikini and a sack over your head. I mean, if any of y'all ever did that, that's awesome.
And then there was the well-known and very popular Fight Night.
incredible experience. It was in the armory over here, had 2 nights of boxing competition. Incredible experience.
It was just pandemonium, you know, ring girls and just 5,000 people in that little armory or whatever it was over there on the other side of town. It was just, you know, we made a lot of money doing fight.
And while the events were fun and the memories long-lasting, what really matters to a Sig Tau is the brotherhood and the bond.
So it isn't just a fraternity. It becomes a part of your life. They're your family.
Some of my best friends today are still the guys that I went to school with, or Sig Tau's that I met a little later in life.
Well, it means a lot to me, and mainly it means a lot to me because I didn't have any real brothers. I had a sister, and that was all. And I always wanted a bigger brother. Well, when I got over there, they were so nice, all the men in the fraternity were. And at that time, they just took you in. And they sort of advised you and pointed you in the right direction. And so it was a real good brotherhood.
You have a sense of inclusion. You have a group of people that are willing to take care of you, to console you when you're down, and to be congratulatory if something good happens in your life. It's sort of a college family within the college campus.
We have a saying that from the outside looking in, you'll never understand it. And from the inside looking out, you'll never be able to explain it. You know, it's just a bond that you can't explain. It's a love that's it's different than any other kind of love you've ever felt.
An unexplained unity that has been on the UCA campus for 100 years, a feat that no doubt calls for celebration.
Well, that doesn't mean as much as it once did, because I'm closer to 100 than I was when I was at ASTC. But it's a privilege to know that the fraternity has been on campus that long, continued to thrive, and from the best of my knowledge has continued to attract some of the best young men that come to campus.
With me being 18 when I went up there, I've been involved with UCA for 57 years. So it has special meaning to me. And 100 years is a long time, but if you look at it in your lifetime and what relationship that has, that's over half of my life I've been involved. Most of my life, but over half of that 100 years I've been involved.
It's just an honor. It really is. You know, I'm one of 100 presidents that we've had thus far, and I'm the one that gets to be active during the centennial celebration. And you know, when you think about it like that, it's just an honor.
We talked about 100 years. This might not ever happen again because we don't know what student life will be like in the next century. I hope it's the same. It was such an incredible experience for me. I want that for other people. Every young man that comes to this campus, I want them to have what I had.
And as the next generation become the next Sig Tau's, some final words of wisdom.
I tell you, there's plenty of things in this world to cry about. So laugh every time you have the opportunity.